Here's the story of Absolute Flash #1. We start off the issue with Wally West out in the desert freaking out saying, "What have I done? What have I done?" And he's freaking out about whatever he just did was a huge mistake. And then he falls to his knees in absolute pain. And then we get a flashback to 2 days ago and we see Wally West actually walking around, but by himself. And we learn that he's a lonely kid living in a military base because of his dad, Colonel West. And we learn he wasn't supposed to be walking around past curfew because he was getting yelled at by the guards, but luckily Dr. Barry Allen was there to save him. And Barry Allen kind of scolds him a little bit, walking him back home, but once he gets back home, he realizes how bored Wally West is, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go see something cool, what we're actually doing on this base?" And Barry takes Wally down to the secret lab of the military base and explains that they're working on something called Project Olympus, and there's not much else he can say. And Barry explains to Wally that he's too smart of a kid to just be locked up in his room, that maybe they can convince his dad to let him work down here part-time. That could probably work. But that's when Colonel West comes in saying that's absolutely not happening. And he yells at Barry and Wally saying Wally should not be here at all, and Barry's really lucky that he doesn't report this. Back in the present, Wally is just thinking he should have never gone down there with Barry, he should have never stayed with his dad, he should have just ran away when he had the chance. And then what we see is a giant boomerang and ship flying towards him, and Wally starts to book it into a cave. So the ship decides to land to follow him on foot, and the people that get out of the ship are some very familiar Flash rogues you might recognize. And then we flash back to 1 day ago with Colonel West actually scolding Wally a little bit. And Colonel West tells him that he's not allowed to ever talk to Barry again. And Wally gets mad saying, "What do you expect from me? I'm locked in this room, I have no friends, I have nowhere to go. What am I supposed to do?" And he gets up, grabs his coat, and leaves saying, "If Mom were still alive, we would have left you a long time ago." And Wally ends up going back down to the secret lab to find comfort in Barry, and what he finds is Barry conducting a crazy experiment, and he tells Wally he needs to run. And back in the present, Wally is still running, scared that once they grab him, they don't know what they're gonna do with him because they know what he did. And we see him put himself in a ball and he starts crying thinking, "You did this, you killed him." And we see the skeleton burnt body of Barry Allen. And we actually get left with a little bit more of a cliffhanger. We see 1 year later, someone has snuck back into the military base and he's looking at a bunch of screens saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, time to make the world fall." And we see a bunch of different things going on with Wally West on these screens.